It's been several days since my last video, but something has been gnawing at me um, regarding the war chapters and those who sought to be uh, kings and rulers. They were the kingmen. In Alma chapter 51, we read that those kingmen who sought to be ruled by a king, it says that they were of high birth. And I always wondered what that meant. But if you think about it, when King Mosiah the first departed out of the land of Nephi and found the people of Zarahemla and couldn't understand them because of their language, he discovered that they were also a people who had left Jerusalem, and Mulek was among them. And Mulek was the son of Zedekiah, who was the king of Jerusalem, king of Judea, I guess. And so you have these people in Zarahemla who, when King Mosiah had found them, they were already warring and fighting amongst themselves. They already had, some civil wars. And it seems logical to me that they were probably struggling, for power and authority. Who should be in charge? And so you have these kingmen hundreds of years later, in the days of Moroni, who wanted to be ruled by a king rather than by judges. And it was because they were very likely, I believe anyway, they were very likely descendants of Mulek. And so when they say they were of high birth, it was probably because of that. They were descendants of Mulek, who was the son of Zedekiah. They were sons of kings from the old world. And so it's no wonder that King Mosiah found them battling each other in Zarahemla. And so hundreds of years later, when you have the reign of judges, and Captain Moroni is now trying to defend his people from Amalekah and Amoron, and also the kingmen who had then taken over Zarahemla and had taken Pehoran off the judgment seat, and what's his name, Pachus, he had taken over rulership of Zarahemla, had made an alliance with the Lamanites. These were all people that were Mulekites. They were not part of Lehi's family. They were part of Mulek's family. And so I can only imagine the internal struggle that may have existed between the Nephites and the Mulekites in Zarahemla. And so after all the wars that happened with Moroni and his son Moronihah, and then they put down all the kingmen, and then there was finally some peace, and you have Hagoth that built ships, and people went north, and then there was and then we're getting into now the book of Helaman, which we'll see a whole new set of struggles with Kishkumen and Gadianton robbers, and so it's a whole different ball game after that. But I just wanted to share that as an afterthought, I guess, to these war chapters. I wasn't planning on making this video, but it needed to be said. And also, there are people who think that Captain Moroni was a dictator, but he wasn't. He did not delight in bloodshed. Captain Moroni gave Zarahemna and Amalekah and others chances to depart in peace. And I've heard people say that the kingmen and dissenters, they should have had the right to secede. And an acquaintance of mine is very libertarian, and I understand that. And he made comparisons to Abraham Lincoln, who did not allow the southern states to secede, which was their right. The very Declaration of Independence was a declaration of secession from England. But applying this to the Book of Mormon, the kingmen did not want to secede. They wanted to take over. They wanted to usurp power. They were trying to, They were trying to take over with a coup. They wanted to take over Zarahemla. And so that's where this comes in with Captain Moroni's ultimatums. towards Zarahemla, towards Amalickiah, towards the kingmen and those prisoners who were supporting the kingmen. They did not want to have a covenant of peace or of liberty. And if Captain Moroni kept allowing them to leave without a covenant of peace or liberty, they would have just regrouped with the Lamanites and come back to continue their homicidal invasions. The Lamanites vastly outnumbered the Nephites, and they almost succeeded in completely surrounding Zarahemla around the east wilderness and around the west wilderness, going up towards Bountiful. If Amoron had succeeded in taking over Bountiful, they would have completely surrounded the Nephites, and they would have been hemmed in Zarahemla and cut off from any support, any place of resort. And so it was important for Captain Moroni and then later his son Moronihah to make sure to secure Bountiful and that they had access to the land northward. And so after that, the Lamanites typically remained in the land southward in those lands, and the Nephites maintained the lands northward. And that's what happens later on in the Book of Mormon, after Helaman and even after Jesus Christ visited. So it's important to realize then that Captain Moroni was not a dictator. He was a man who loved liberty. He was a man who gave people every chance. When I say people, I mean dissenters and kingmen and rebels. He gave them every chance to depart in peace or to have a covenant of liberty. And this was in a time of war, and these were traitors. They were treasonous acts by traitors. So anyway, those are my thoughts for today. Next video we'll start getting into the book of Helaman and Nephi, the Gadiantans, and so on and so forth. Thanks for watching.